Welcome to How to Play Dark Overlord. In Dark Overlord, one player will take the role of the evil genius Rigor Mortis, while the rest will become their band of clumsy, constantly failing minions. It's a humorous party game where you will improve excuses and blame your fellow servants. Goal of the game. The goal is to avoid Rigor Mortis's wrath long enough and be one of the servants who isn't eliminated. The game ends when a servant receives their third Withering look, leading to their punishment. Setup. At the start, the host uses which card decks to use: red, green, or both. Each deck offers a different set of servant excuses. Activate both if you want the full range of options during the game. The role of Rigor Mortis, the Dark Overlord, is randomly assigned to one of the players each game. If there's someone in your party who really doesn't want to play as Dark Overlord, they can opt out of the random selection. Once the Dark Overlord has been chosen, all the other players will be the servants. If the group isn't happy with the current roles, two players can switch by using the Become Spectator option in the Watch menu, then taking control of the desired dummy at the table. At the start, all servants automatically receive 3 hint cards and 3 action cards in their hand. The Dark Overlord always has the same hand of cards, consisting of 3 Withering look cards. Each player will see in front of their seat the hint cards deck and the hint cards discard pile, the action cards deck and the action cards discard pile, the story scroll showing the last 4 cards played, and at the center, the vortex where players throw cards to play them. Player roles. As mentioned, each player takes one of the 2 roles. The Dark Overlord, Rigor Mortis, who holds absolute power and demands explanations, or the servants, sneaky, clumsy, and inept creatures from Cragmortha, who must report their failed mission and convince him it was someone else's fault. The cards. Dark Overlord has 3 types of cards. These are your hint cards. When it's your turn to explain yourself, look closely at your hint cards. You can draw inspiration from any part of the card: the title, the flavor text, even the picture. Action cards. To perform an action, pair an action card with one of your hint cards. Each action card shows a symbol indicating the action it enables. The actions are Pass the Buck, Freeze, Back of the Line, or No Way. Playing a Pass the Buck card lets you immediately shift the blame to another player. When you play it, the chosen player's turn begins right away. Playing a Freeze card lets you interrupt another player's turn. Pair it with a hint card to throw their story off track. You're not taking a turn, just being a nuisance by forcing them to react to an off-topic twist. The Back of the Line card, from the green box, can be played at the very start of your turn, before you make any excuses. When you play it, you immediately swap your entire hand of cards with another player's. Then proceed to play your turn using the cards you just obtained. The No Way card, from the green box, lets you interrupt another player's turn. They must discard all their action cards and draw a new one. If the card is a Pass the Buck, they keep the card and continue as normal, but if it's not, they'll get a Withering look. Most cards let you perform just one type of action. However, the cards found in the red box give you a choice between 2 different actions when you play them. Withering look cards. Throughout the game, the Dark Overlord punishes poor excuses by handing out Withering look cards. The game ends immediately when any player receives their third. Player plates show how many Withering looks each player has received. Playing the game. The Dark Overlord starts by asking one of the servants about how the mission went. When the Dark Overlord questions a servant, their turn begins. They must immediately play a hint card to explain their blunder. Cards are played by tossing them into the vortex at the center of the table. Cards played are automatically added to the story scroll, which always shows the most recent plays for all players to review at any time. Servant's turn. It's your turn. The Dark Overlord is glaring. Time to come up with an excuse for your failure. Don't worry about being realistic. The sillier the better. Just make sure your story connects to the hint card you play. Display the card you're holding using the secondary action button to help you tell your story. Your turn may start in two different ways. If someone played a pass the buck on you, your turn begins by drawing a new action card. Or if you have been questioned directly by the Dark Overlord about the mission, in which case you don't draw new cards. You have to play at least one hint card to keep your story going. Play a maximum of 3 hint cards during your turn. To end your turn and shift the blame, play a pass the buck card with your final hint card to point the finger at another poor soul. If you manage to successfully pass the blame onto another player, now you must draw hint cards until you have a total of 3 in your hand. If you take too long, run out of ideas, or fail to play a pass the buck card to end your turn, the Dark Overlord's patience will run out, and you'll earn a Withering Look. If you start your turn with no hint cards in hand, you'll automatically receive a Withering Look. Withering Looks. As the Dark Overlord, you always have 3 Withering Look cards in your hand. Use them to unleash your wrath on any player whose excuse fails to impress you. Check the player's current Withering Look level and play the card that corresponds to the next level. To apply the Withering Look, simply point the card to the recipient player and release the primary action button. End of the game. So, a servant has just received their 3rd Withering Look. The end is nigh for them. However, they do have one last chance to avoid severe punishment. They can beg for mercy. If the Dark Overlord deems their begging sufficient, servant will be allowed to draw an action card. If the action card does not show rigor mortis' skull, the servant is spared. They must retrieve their previous hand from the discard pile and get one last chance to deliver a convincing excuse and continue playing. If they fail, the game is over. A game of I, Dark Overlord ends when one bumbling servant earns 3 Withering Looks and fails to weasel out of punishment by begging for mercy. That's all for I, Dark Overlord. Gather your friends, sharpen your excuses, and face the wrath of rigor mortis in All on Board.